going to maybe do Mounds of Madness first, but I think it might be too off-putting.
Yeah, but that's never stopped you before, though.
I know, but I'd like to improve. Like I talked about, constantly improving the product. You know, the service that we're selling and providing.
The service that we're selling for $0.
For $0. Yeah. You know that like saying that like whenever like something's free, like then the end user is the product or whatever. It's usually supposed to.
That's a saying.
Yeah, because it's like, well, you know, like Facebook's free, so then it's like, well, you yourself are the product. And it's like because they're tracking all your data and then selling it, and that's how they make money, right? Shit like that.
Okay.
But it's like for something like this, like that can't be the case because like I have no access to data like that, and so I'm not like able to monetize in some kind of evil capacity like listener data.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have the far-reaching capabilities of a $1 trillion company that could.
Yet we don't have that capability yet.
Yes, I have to talk to my European investors, and then maybe I can get the ball rolling on that. So then I reorganized, and then I found something quite interesting on Twitter, which is the great place to find interesting things. So this is going to be a little dating is dead, and hopefully the tweet is still up. Oh, thank God it is. I should have screenshotted it for posterity. And so this was making the rounds, and this is the DeadEndRoad show, by the way. I forgot to do that bit. This is episode 72. It's Bill and Ian. We're hanging out, and I'm jumping the gun. I'm getting fired up. And so I found this on Twitter. This is how to steal someone's boyfriend, a thread. And the thing with this is that it seems to be in total sincerity. Okay.
Who's this coming from?
So just somebody on Twitter. Somebody on Twitter, man. It's somebody named Marie. Okay. And their bio says that they're having fun online. So
okay, but like, what kind of like, what's the follower count for Marie?
32,000.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They have a consultation link in their bio. It doesn't say for what, but they got it. So there's that. I don't know what's going on. They might be astroturfed. I don't know. But yeah, this was making the rounds a few days ago, and I thought it was quite funny. So this is how to steal someone's boyfriend, and I thought we could discuss it. So everyone knows that all the good men are in a relationship. Oof.
I'm already offended.
The available men are available because there's something wrong with them. That leaves you, a single woman with a desire to start a family with only one option, stealing someone else's boyfriend.
Yes, that is me. That is me.
That's the first tweet.
Okay.
Now, I'd like to point out here that there is already there's lots of problems, but there's already a big problem. So if the men are single because there's something clearly wrong with them, what does that make the women who are single? Well,
we don't have to mention that.
Yeah, exactly. It continues. The most important thing to start out with is maintaining plausible deniability. Don't be too upfront. Just enter his sphere as a friend. Talk, only a little, about your other dates, about your family, your hobbies. Find out what he likes and get interested in those things. Okay, so pretend to be his friend is what I'm...
And also like change a good portion of your personality to suit him. That's a great idea.
Dig about his current relationship. As a woman, you know how it feels to be sad and frustrated. So help him to channel that negative energy. Find out what his girlfriend is doing wrong and make him fixate on it. But remember, plausible deniability. Don't say anything bad about her yourself. This is where it gets psychotic.
Well, you know about those women who they're all sad and frustrated, you know.
And you know how to bring out that negative energy. those bad vibes. As you dig deeper into his relationship, mold your personality to his alleged likes and dislikes. His girlfriend is argumentative, be agreeable. His girlfriend is dumb, be an intelligent girl boss. Ooh. Does he like the way she cooks? Say, me too. There's so
Is there a hashtag in that?
No, there's not, but there's so many problems. Fucking Christ. As you get closer to him, ask him to introduce you to his girlfriend, either online or IRL. Get close to her and start sowing seeds of discord between them. Make it seem like he lied or did something stupid or said something bad about her. Make it seem like you're on her side.
This is definitely the plot of a movie I saw recently.
Yeah, was it the
Do Revenge?
Yeah, was it okay, yeah. This is psychotic. This is the plot of an Always Sunny episode. This is the dentist system.
Mm-hmm.
This is fucking insane. This is insane behavior. Also, you're not single? Like, okay. It's still going on, but this is okay. As you're simultaneously destroying their confidence in their relationship and also being their only comfort, things are going to get tricky. You don't say. You don't say. He's going to try to make a move, but you cannot let yourself be the other woman. He has to break up with her before physical stuff happens. Oh, well, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
At least you're waiting. At least you're waiting.
This person has some sort of a moral compass, at least.
Uh-huh.
They draw the line somewhere.
Right. Well, maybe not. If it just can't be helped, you have to show immeasurable guilt and shame and force him to break up with her. He can't see you as easy. You must show that you have morals and values and hate breaking your moral code. You were just overwhelmed with passion for him. Oh, boy. Oh, God. Okay.
This is much darker than I anticipated.
Uh-huh.
Just destroying some lives for your own benefit.
Right. The only problem that now remains is the ex-girlfriend. You've done the job correctly.
Kill her.
You know, like an assassin. Like a hitman. She kind of hates him now anyway, and you're free to drop her out of her life before you make your shiny new relationship public.
Or drop her out of a third floor window, either one.
Yeah. Or off a boat. Convince her to block his ass. Drive it home that she's too good for him. Then send a couple of men that you rejected her way. What the
Oh, God. Just
here's a couple losers. Here's a couple duds you could have. Then start a petty fight with her. Tell her she's toxic and end the friendship. Just
wait, they've already broken up, right? Why? Seems all just like unnecessary at this point.
Because you're now dating her ex-boyfriend. So now you just got to burn another bridge.
Oh my God.
Because this is sane, healthy behavior. This is completely normal. You have to cut toxic people out of your life. I have to cut everyone that's toxic out of my life. There's nothing wrong with me.
So all this effort is to just make sure that she doesn't try and like win him back. Is that?
Or
tie up all the loose ends.
Yeah, I guess. A very important part of this is that no one can know what happened, or else the whole relationship is publicly tainted. Yeah, that's why it'll be publicly tainted. That's why. Not that you made friends with two people, broke them up, started dating the one, and then ended a friendship with the other. People will think bad things about your future family. So you're already marrying this person.
Mm-hmm.
You're already having a family with this person. I thought you just wanted to not be single, and it could affect your progeny for generations.
Oh my God. Okay, this isn't serious. None of this is serious.
Wait a few months before making things public. That one's in all caps. Even if you disagree, you all should still thank me because this is the way of the world, and you're now more enlightened and aware of how things work. Where? In medieval France?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
Either medieval
Christ.
France or cheesy Netflix thrillers, one of the two, but definitely not any real world that I'm living in.
There's a reply here that's all this shit to sell toothpaste, and now I'm quite curious what that means. Let's take a look at the profile. Having fun online. DM about homemade remineralizing cacao toothpaste. What?
Is it the side hustle? Is that Marie's side gig? She's a relationship consultant and toothpaste merchant.
Here's a tweet from 2 hours ago.
Oh.
Some of these fluoride-poisoned e-freaks are angry because I am making millions of dollars saving people's lives by providing dental remineralization, while they sit behind their cum-stained keyboards hating on me and making $17 an hour pretending to work on spreadsheets.
Damn.
4 hours ago, there's nothing like my toothpaste on the market right now.
I don't know if that signals a good thing or not. There might be a reason.
The problem with people like this is this performance art or is it legitimate?
Yeah, I'm very concerned if it's legitimate. Also, why not work the toothpaste angle into the thread about relationships? How they won't want you if you have bad breath or something, right?
Yeah, or like how the ex-girlfriend has really bad teeth.
And fluoride poisoning, it's just like rotting her insides. You want to dump her.
Here's one from 17 hours ago.
Okay.
In some traditional cultures, schizophrenic people are regarded as shamans and people come to them for their wisdom and insight.
Okay, that says a lot right there. I think we...
19 hours ago, for receding gums, my grandfather, a 92-year-old Slovakian MD who still drives his car and works a few hours a week, suggests massaging the gums in the shower with your fingers daily to increase blood flow and get rid of any plaque that might be there. And then there's a follow-up tweet. He also has all his teeth still.
But what does driving your car at 92 have to do with your gums?
I guess she's saying that he's not crazy for being a 92-year-old doctor who works a few hours a week, and he's still able to drive his car. And also, he still has his teeth. So touching your gums in the shower.
I mean, I guess that's impressive, right? Because Joe Biden is 92 and he can't ride a bike. So if you can drive your car at that age, that's pretty impressive.
The thing about me is that I'm the right level of mid, whereby stalkers will just buy my toothpaste, remineralize themselves, and be healed, instead of showing up to my house and having to get arrested. I call it the profit maximization mid. Because women are on a higher spiritual plane and our morality is based on love instead of sex, women don't truly mind a man doing anything sexually with another woman. All that matters is that he loves her on an emotional level and that his heart and attention are pointed at her.
I love all of these broad statements about all women thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a lot here that you've thrown at us.
How much is the toothpaste? Oh, she's selling the recipe. So she's not even selling the toothpaste. She's selling the recipe. For $15, you can buy the recipe.
But can't someone just purchase the recipe and then distribute it out?
Sure.
That seems like
The problem is, the thing is that I don't think anybody gives a shit.
Right.
Enough.
So she's not making the effort to actually make the toothpaste.
I don't think so.
You have to do that yourself.
This is an exclusive recipe of my own creation that has all the elements to completely revitalize and remineralize your mouth from the ground up. That phrasing is okay. There's a recipe and explanation of each ingredient and articles for further research on remineralization, glycerin, and the key ingredient at play in the cacao, theobromine. Buying this recipe will give you the opportunity to make a lifetime of amazing toothpaste for yourself and your family. If you'd like to buy the toothpaste already made and packaged by me, you can do so directly by DMing me on Twitter. And that Twitter account is a different account than the one that's posting all the crazy shit. So hold on now. I did not plan any of this, by the way. I just wanted to read out the weird thread.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Why can I not find this account? It's sending me to... Maybe we should change the name, and it still sends me to that account. I didn't know Twitter could do that. Okay. Well, it has 2 ratings, and they're 2 5-star ratings.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It says there's lots of articles in this, but the PDF says that it's 3 pages.
Quality over quantity.
I guess so. Yeah. So you know how Twitter now lets you select like what your occupation is?
Sure.
Well, they've selected dentist for themselves. You know. You know how like whenever there's like a commercial for gum or whatever, and it says that like 9 out of 10 dentists approve.
This is the one dentist.
This is the one dentist. Oh fuck!
Oh, it's very good.
We're having fun online.
So maybe relationship consultant is the side hustle to being a dentist. That would make more sense.
Yeah. Oh, holy shit. Okay. Well, that was dating. That was dating instead for this week. Who knows what we'll find next? Next up, I don't know if this is going to be more or less sane content for you than what we just experienced. But it's time for a little Mountains of Madness, and I've updated the intro for this. So let's see if this works. Mountains of Madness. Okay,
I don't like that.
Quiet, but no, you don't like that? No. It's Halloween. It's a little spooky. Would you believe me if I told you that doing that was one of the reasons why I bought a Mac?
Yes, I 100% believe that. I don't doubt that for a second. Well worth it for sure.
Oh, fuck. Okay. All right. This is going to take some explaining.
Of course.
So, one of the projects that I'm working on, which I could talk about it now, even though it's not going to be, it'll probably be like a month maybe, is that I'm planning on releasing a version of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, an ebook version, as it's public domain and, you know, there's no copyright anymore since it's fucking 200 years old. And so I'm making my own version right now. And I've been working on that for a few weeks.
Wow, I did. This is news to me as well.
Yeah. So, I've been working on that, going through the manuscript, doing the ebook formatting. It's also a test of Vellum, which is one of the Mac programs that I wanted to work with for ebook creation, seeing if it's actually a good workflow, things like that. And so this is a good test, right? Using a royalty-free manuscript.
Yes.
So I've been going through that. And on a whim, I decided to start playing Persona 5 Strikers.
For the first time? Is this the first play?
For the first time. I have had it since it released. I pre-ordered it, because I do what I do. And but I saved it, because I was actually playing Royal at the time it released, and and other things came up, and I was saving it. But as we'll get into later, I picked up The World Ends With You based on the wheel spin from last time. And we'll get into it, but I also needed something else to play. And I was like, you know what? Fine. It's finally time. I'm going to pick up Strikers. The beginning of the game has a character who is heavily inspired by Alice in Wonderland, and not in the traditional Persona sense, because in SMT and in Persona there is a demon named Alice who is very clearly meant to evoke Alice from Alice in Wonderland, or at least Alice Liddell, the inspiration for Alice in Wonderland. And she's an iconic demon, and actually my favorite demon, and that's who I named my Final Fantasy XIV character after, and et cetera, et cetera. But this character is just sort of like a pop idol / fashion designer who takes inspiration from Alice in Wonderland.
Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that you have a favorite demon? Yeah. I think that's very funny.
That's a problem. Yeah, like she has a signature skill called Die For Me, where she just like can obliterate enemies using like curse or death skills. It's fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, I just started this project. I just suddenly decided to play this game.
Oh, is this the collective unconscious again?
You know it is. I decided to play this game that is like 3 years old at least at this point. And then I'm immediately hit in the face with the material that I'm already working with again. And in a way that is totally separate from the usual SMT Alice shit.
Well, you can't be totally separate because it's still a Persona game, and it's in the same world.
No, it is. No, I'm serious. Okay, so like here, this is bad audio, but I have to make a point. So like, hold on, this is all fan art. Hold on, why are all these images terrible? No. Okay, here. This is Alice from the Persona or demon from Persona 5.
Okay,
and this is the one from Persona 5 Strikers. Totally, like, this is a character, this is not a demon, it's not a persona.
Okay, so very different for sure, but still the same, like, video game realm, right? Like, it's still, you haven't ventured, It's not like you're, like, I don't know, you turned on a TV and there was some random movie you never heard of with Alice in Wonderland references, right? Like, this, you're still, like, coming at it from the same, like, interests.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. So, they've done this before. Persona Q1, the first one. The first dungeon was like actually quite Alice in Wonderland themed. Like you had to follow a white rabbit and all kinds of shit.
See, you're making my point. They do this all the time.
No, hold on. Okay. Hold on. You had to follow a white rabbit. There were cards on the walls. It was all, the FOEs, which were giant enemies that you're really not supposed to fight, but can like kind of one-shot you, were like the card knight soldier dudes. It was an Alice in Wonderland themed dungeon. Here, that is not the case.
Okay.
Even though this first area is called, like, they're like saying Wonderland and shit like that, it is not like themed in the same way.
But it's called Wonderland.
Yes, but it doesn't have any of the same stylings whatsoever.
But it's called Wonderland.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's different from what they usually do.
Okay, I will take your word for it.
Like the usual depiction of Alice the Demon is clearly meant to be the standard Alice from the story, right? Look at that.
Yes.
The second one is not. That's just a anime girl.
Sure.
With pink hair.
Right. And is that a flamingo staff of some sort?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that chair has eyes. Or no, is it the chair or is that her? Yeah, it's the chair.
I think it's the chair. Yeah.
Okay.
So It's pretty weird.
Okay.
It's pretty weird.
Right, it's weird.
That I would decide to pick up a game and for it to be like this.
A game in a series of games that has referenced Alice in Wonderland in the past. Sure.
Not in this way. Like if I said like, oh wow, Alice the Demon showed up. She's been in every fucking SMT game. Then I'd sound like an idiot.
Mm-hmm. But because it's slightly different, that makes it crazy.
All right, never mind.
No, I'm sorry. It's just this segment you've brought out some really weird stuff in the past. That's like but this I'm not fully buying into the coincidence here.
What is it that compelled me to pick up a game that's 3 years old?
Because it's a Persona game and you play Persona all the time.
But I could have, in any stretch, I could have picked it up. But now that I'm working on Alice, only now.
You say that like you don't talk about Persona every week on this show.
Yeah, but if I was talking about it in July, I wouldn't have done anything.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry I'm being so combative here. I just don't think this is as crazy of a coincidence as you are making it out to be.
Okay. All right. It's
cool, right? It's great that you have like this synergy going of these interests.
That's the word. You almost used the word.
What?
Synchronicity.
Oh, okay. Sure.
You almost used the word. My
whole point is that you have like these like niche interests that overlap, right? And so two things that you're interested in happen to overlap. That just doesn't quite make it. That doesn't like make me think collective unconscious.
The timing of
it. Right.
The timing.
Okay.
The acausal connecting principle.
Sure. Put it that way.
Now you're gonna humor me.
No, I mean, it's cool. I just, I think you're making a little bit more out of it than it needs to be here.
If I had picked up the game in last December, like this wouldn't be anything.
Right.
But now that I'm working on Alice.
That's cool that you're working on that. I'm interested to see the final, the finished project.
Yeah, I hope I, do it justice, but yeah, I'm not like editing anything. It's going to be like the original manuscript.
Right,
and,
right.
I'm just like formatting it properly for ebook, and I have the original illustrations, and I just have to make a cover and make sure the formatting's proper and everything, and I'll put it up.
Do you think with a novel like that's 200 years old, all the errors have been fixed by now?
It depends on what you think is an error. Like the only thing that I am changing is that it has lots of instances of the word shan't.
Okay.
But it doesn't have our modern spelling of the word shan't, where it uses a double contraction.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am changing that because it looks terrible. So I'm changing it to a single contraction. That's the only thing I'm changing. So far I'm not finding anything that's weird. Like I'm keeping the British spelling of things like color, things like that. I don't really think there's going to be any like errors.
Mm-hmm.
The toughest thing for me right now is actually formatting the poetry.
Okay.
Because the poetry inside of it is very experimental with form visually,
right? Especially
for the time. Like there's a poem, it's the Fury Said for a Mouse poem, where the mouse is talking about he's telling a tale about his tail, right? And it's a poem that's structured in the shape of a tail.
Oh, okay.
And so it's literally shaped like a tail. And on print, that's fine. You can typeset it to look like a tail. On ebook, that's a lot trickier, the way that it codes spacing and formatting and the way different readers will try to render that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like every device is like different size and people use different font sizes when they read. And that's all like you can edit that like in your, your reader that you're using. So
yes,
man,
it's like, okay, somebody using something that's reflowable. What's the deal? Yes, it's very tricky. It's very tricky to do. So I'm kind of struggling with that right now. And it's tough. One possible solution is that I might make it an image.
Instead, because that you
just
can,
so it can't be moved. But it's really tough, something like that. And it's one downside to ebooks, and it's something like House of Leaves. It just can't be digital.
That's what I was just thinking of. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah.
Where it just can't be. So yeah, that's one complication right now. That's kind of my biggest hurdle at the moment, actually, is formatting the poetry. But yeah, it's a good challenge. I'm having fun with it. And it's mostly just a test, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not something I need to do. Where like there's enough versions of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland out there. It's fucking public domain, right? You know,
are you making like a new cover for it?
I am.
Cool.
I am. Yeah. But it's also like kind of cool to say like I published Alice in Wonderland. You know, like
sure.
It's just it's just kind of something that I can just like say, and it's also a way to fill out like my backlist of books, and just have more in the catalog.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I will have it finished and ready for sale next month, and it will not be very much because it's, you know.
Are you going to include a foreword about the comparisons between Alice in Wonderland and the Persona series?
Not quite. I was going to write a foreword just to kind of give it some kind of original content, and just not make it be like a, you know, 1-to-1 copy of a manuscript. Just kind of make it seem like, you know, like, why would anybody buy this sort of thing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I will write a foreword. That's one thing I still have to do. It's write the foreword.
Cool.
So yeah, that is upcoming. I think next month I should have it out.
So I fully stepped all over your segment here. Was there more about the coincidence of this whole thing?
No, not really. Not really.
Okay. I feel bad now.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, how is Strikers going?
It's okay. It's okay. I'm not very far. I'm like maybe 2 hours. So that's why I'm kind of like hit in the face with this sort of, you know, synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange to play like an actual sequel to Persona 5 that is not a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, right?
It's really surreal to me. And it's especially weird to play one at 60 FPS.
Oh.
Before like the new Royal ports come out. It's like jarring. And it's like they moved like the assets of Persona 5 into whatever engine they used for this action system. And so it's the world, you know, but things are slightly they're not quite the same, like dimensionally.
Right.
Because it's like a different engine. And so the lighting is a little different and everything's not quite the same size. And you don't move the same, and also you don't interact with the world the same, because like it's just a swap of buttons. Like everything in this, like you interact with the circle button instead of X, because the X button is like used for like jump, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so because there was no jump in Persona except for on specific circumstances. So it's just a little weird.
Wait,
like,
what?
You know, like
what console is this?
This is PS4, but I'm playing it on PS5.
Oh, I didn't even know it was on PS4. I thought, wasn't it like a Switch thing originally?
It came to Switch. It came to PS4. It was also on PC.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it hit Xbox. Maybe it did.
I've never seen it. I don't think there's any Persona on Xbox. There will be shortly, but I don't think there is currently.
Right. Yeah. So like, but it's very weird to play a sequel that is not like a turn-based. Like I kind of like want to stop the flow of everything and just like swap personas and, you know, do like the shit that I'm so used to doing.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's a very good approximation of the battle system in an action setting.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, like you're still hitting weaknesses, you're doing all out attacks. It's kind of overwhelming that things happen so quickly, where like the affinity charts for demons will just like appear on screen as you're like mashing heavy and light attacks. And it's like, okay, all right, you know, I can't really read that right now. I'm like trying to hit shit.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that. Whenever you use a persona skill, the game does pause. So like you can like kind of aim it. They're like area of effect abilities now in this.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can kind of aim and it'll show you the weaknesses. It's a pretty good approximation. One thing that I'm struggling with right now is that like I'm in this first dungeon and it's doing that early game thing where like I'll take like 5 steps and it's like boom, another tutorial. I got to throw something at you right now. Like, okay, can I play? Can I play the game? Boom, there's like five more steps. We got to throw something at you. Did you know that we have a sneak system just like in Persona 5? It's like, okay, fine. Can I play now? It's like, boom, we got to show you this. This is an elite enemy. It's like, okay, fine. Can I play now? It's like, boom, now we gotta show you this. It's like, dude, can I please just explore this fucking dungeon?
Yeah.
Like, boom, this is a checkpoint. Do you know what checkpoints are? I'm like, yes, I know what checkpoints are. Can I please just explore? Can I play this fucking game now?
Right.
And hopefully that'll stop. But like in the early going, I'm like, all right, can I just get in here and play? It like totally, completely expects you to have played the original game. Like, you're supposed to know who everybody is. You're supposed to know what personas are. You're supposed to know all this shit.
Yeah.
So like, there's no real jumping in if you don't know what's going on. But at the same time, it's like a new story to an extent. It just takes place after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm appreciating right now that the characters aren't flanderized yet, like they are in the Q games. And I can tell that they had a lot of fun voice acting this. There's just like a lot of sort of like ad-libbed like inflections and sort of like asides in the lines that like aren't like part of the subtitled script, where people just like insert like sighs or like other like, oh damn, like shit like that, you know, like in the lines. And like you can just tell like the actors were having fun like recording it.
That's cool.
Because there's like just a lot of energy in the performances. Which is really cool. So I have to get deep into it. But in my heart, I just wish it was another fucking RPG.
Yeah, I mean, it does. That sounds really cool that they've been able to sort of keep the things that make the like Persona battles unique, right? And sort of translate them in some way. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's like, on one hand, it's a sequel, but on the other, it's like also a spin-off. So it's like, how much consequence can this really have? Like, what is the gravity of what this story is going to tell? Like, it's a summer vacation story, kind of plot, and like some side characters that are like literally not shown, like they're away, like they put up signs in their shops that they're away for the summer, and it's like, okay, all right, like
Well, do you know the projected like length of the game? I'm assuming it's not a 100-hour affair like Persona 5.
My good buddy How Long to Beat says like 35 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'll have to get into it. And I guess I'll just hit a button because we're already basically here. So part of the reason why I picked up Strikers,
aside from the collective unconscious,
aside from being compelled by an unseen force, is that based on last week's JRPG Roulette, it landed twice on The World Ends With You, which I began playing last weekend, and I don't think I like it. So The World Ends With You is a Square Enix JRPG that originally released for the DS in, I think, 2007? Let me confirm. Yes, 2007. And I knew a little bit about it. I knew it was sort of designed by Nomura of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII fame. And I guess Final Fantasy 8. He did a whole bunch of Final Fantasy shit. And I knew that there was some kind of touch control. I did not know that it was exclusively touch control.
Yeah, that makes sense because the game I've seen, it's on like all the mobile platforms.
Well, I just assumed that it was sort of like maybe like a hybrid touch kind of thing. And I figured since it was on a modern platform, the controls would have been adapted.
Sure.
A little bit. Unfortunately, it is only touch control. And it's bad.
Oh no.
It's bad.
The controls, that is.
The controls are bad. Okay. So I'm playing it on the Switch natively, the actual Switch, which has a touch screen. And I don't know if it's maybe I honestly don't think it is the screen protector I have on the Switch making the inputs shitty, but I don't think it is. But like it's really imprecise, and like I have to have my finger over the screen so I can't see what I'm doing because my hand is in the
that's the thing I've always hated about touch control games is that exact thing where you impede your own vision of what's happening.
I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
It's bad.
So not only do you have to control like it's touch for literally everything. Like moving around is touch. So I'm holding the Switch in one, like my left hand, like I would normally, and then I have to touch to move the guy, like my characters around. So like it's like click to move, but with my finger. And then even like going through dialogue, instead of just being able to hit the A button and just go through, I literally have to tap on the screen like for every dialogue, and it just gets really it gets really tiring just having to tap on the thing. But what the biggest problem is, like that's fine. Whatever, fine. I can the maps, like they have to navigate around, are small enough where you can drag there, whatever. Fine. But the biggest problem is the combat, because the combat is, of course, all touch, and it is not it's an action combat system, which is not conducive to touch gameplay whatsoever.
Yeah, don't you think with a Switch port they could have like modified the controls to at least give you the option to use the actual like buttons and analog and all that?
You would think.
Seems very low effort.
So for combat, you have to move around. The movement in combat is different than moving in like the overworld, where you have to touch your dude and then swipe him where you want him to go. So it's even less precise than dragging around the map, because you have to like do swipes in a direction, and then maybe he'll go that way and maybe he won't. And there's also like shit on the battlefield. Like there's like cars and, like road horses, like blocking roads and shit, just like strewn about in these single screen battlefield areas. And so I just decided I'm not going to move my dude. It's just too annoying. And then your attacks are combinations of taps and different kinds of swipes. In my experience, the swipes don't work. They just don't. Sometimes you have to swipe from the dude, which is the same as a movement swipe. That's the same action. So the game doesn't know whether you're trying to move him or trying to do like a slash attack. So it sometimes does nothing. Sometimes it does one of the two. The same goes for the taps. So like I decided you can kind of equip which attacks you're going to use based on these. It's a pin system. Like you equip pins, sort of like band pins or, like fashion pin. You know what I mean, right? Like that you would pin to like your backpack.
Yes.
And so those are your attacks. And so you can equip which ones you're going to use. So I just decided I was going to use taps exclusively, because at least those were firing whenever I would tap, right? I wouldn't have to swipe. The problem with that is that if you have multiple taps equipped, it doesn't know which one you want to use. So it just randomly decides which one it's going to fire, I guess. Like sometimes a tap is like enemy targeted, and sometimes it's like, oh, tap an empty area and it'll attack. So sometimes it also does nothing, and sometimes it's not good. It's just not good. So here's the thing. They did try to have a Switch control scheme. Unfortunately, it's motion control.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That sounds even worse, actually.
So I tried it. I was like, okay, at least I'll be able to see the screen, So instead of tapping to move, you have to point one Joy-Con where you want to go and then hit the right D-pad, and that confirms where you want to go.
There's no way this works well.
It's great for moving around the map.
Okay.
It's way better than touch.
All right.
Because I could actually see. The only problem is you have to like frequently recenter your like aiming reticle,
right? Because
it gets like out of whack constantly. So there's a button for that. Like you have to keep constantly recentering it. Combat is also rough. I thought the swipes didn't work for touch. They just don't work. They don't work in the motion control. They just don't. There's no way to properly target your guy and swipe with the Joy-Con. It's just nothing. So that's exclusively like the tap shit. So I'm just pressing that same right D-pad, trying to get tap attacks to go off. Yeah, it's not. It's not much better, but at least I can see the screen.
Yeah, I don't like motion controls on the Switch. I remember I was playing a bit of Splatoon 2 a couple of years ago, and I remembered reading that a lot of people prefer the gyroscope for like aiming and stuff. Because when you're playing handheld, the analog sticks aren't as precise as you would want in like a multiplayer shooter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I tried the gyroscope, and it was like I couldn't do it. I don't know if it's like motion sickness or what it is, but it's just, I do not like it.
I hear people say that like, oh, no, you're supposed to use the analog stick for big movements and then the gyroscope for fine adjustments.
Yeah, I've heard that too. But my brain does not, it does not, it can't wrap itself around that.
Yeah. So I was already off to a rough start. Like, even in the menus, you can't control the menus with a D-pad. Like, it's touch everything.
Yeah, I'm already out at this point. I'm surprised that you were still going here.
I figured I had to give it a good enough shot.
Okay.
Right? And also, I have the sequel on my shelf, too.
Right.
Like I got these as gifts,
mm-hmm.
you know, like these are like gifts from several years ago, you know. It's like I gotta give it a shot. Also this is like a beloved game. Like this is supposed to be like a classic, right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that one, the impreciseness of it was fine in 2007 on the original DS, just based on like the capacitive touchscreen of that,
sure,
you know, and also probably using that dinky little stylus. People could deal with that.
This is so responsive. Oh my god.
But like in current day, no. I'm kind of curious to see what the sequel's control scheme is like, because that's a PS4 game. So I'm curious.
I was thinking
to see what they do there.
Is there any chance with the Steam Deck and all of its like customization? Is there any chance if you were able to emulate this game on there, you could like customize to have like button controls and stuff? Or would that just be way too much of a pain, if it's even possible?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea, because it's not like this is like a mouse input,
right?
You know,
yeah. Like
normally you can do that pretty easily, where you can just like make the joystick act as a mouse. But this is like touch. I have no idea. I mean, I could probably get the track pads going, which might be better. But yeah, but at the same time, it's still like the imprecise nature of it, where like attacks don't know like which one it's supposed to be using. And then so that's like the biggest problem, just from like a playability standpoint. And I'm not really into the story. It's really basic. You're playing as like this loner kid who doesn't like anybody and doesn't want to talk to anybody, and he's got to realize that he has to work together with other people. It's very basic anime kind of thing. Another thing is that the soundtrack is I'll just say it's bad.
Okay.
I'll say it's bad.
Don't hold back.
It verges from listenable to this singer sounds tone deaf, and it can switch very quickly.
Yeah.
Like within a scene. And also the most listenable stuff sounds like Limp Bizkit. Oh. So there's that.
Man.
Yeah. It's very mid 2000s in its design,
which is
choices.
Like fair, because that's when it was. Yes,
but like so much like all these characters' fashion, like everything's super baggy, you know, and like they're wearing like gigantic they're not quite Jamiroquai hats, but they're like Jamiroquai beanies almost. I don't know how to describe it. They're like beanies that are so big that they have to like fit like anime hair underneath. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And like big thick lines. Like it's like
any Jinkos?
Anime. Oh yeah. And like anime Invader Zim kind of art style, you know. And it's like everything's like urban. Like everybody talks like they're Jesse Pinkman. Everything's yo-yo and stuff. And in a way, I guess it's kind of a time capsule. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not into it. Like, I can see, like, I feel like people that like sort of revere this as like a classic, you know, were kids at the time.
Yeah.
And like 2007, like I was already, you know, like we were in middle school, you know, like this was kind of like past me. So yeah, it's not for me. I can't just the controls alone is like, it's already so hard to play. Like if this was like a visual novel and I could just like tap through all the scenes, I could get through it. But the fact that I have to do everything else, there's like a lot of back and forth, like trying to solve these like very light puzzles, like of who you got to talk to. And it's sort of like Detective Vision, you know, you got to figure out like, oh, this thing's glowing, so I got to interact with this. That would all be fine, but then like throw in the combat, and there's like a fashion system, like you have to wear certain clothes in certain areas of the city. And it's like, oh, this is just a pain. Like it's fine, but then like it's all touch control to equip everything. And
what's the story purpose behind that? Like you have to put on your Jinkos to go to Main Street. Like what's
Yeah, it's just because like you're in like a very trendy area of Tokyo.
Okay.
And so you're trying to be cool and with it.
Hell
but
yeah.
your character doesn't want to be, your character's a loner, so they don't want to be like, part of that. But they're trying to be, they got to work together, so they have to fit in with trends or something. I don't know. But he also has amnesia because it's an anime. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, it just sounds like there are too many obstacles there for you. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I haven't picked it up since last weekend because every time I'm like, oh, maybe I should give it another shot. I'm just like, no, I don't want to. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, that's very reasonable to put that one down, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, oh well. I might bring the wheel back sometime soon. For a redo, but we'll see. Yeah. But moving on, because we're already at an hour somehow. Shit. So I put this in here, and then quickly realized it didn't matter. So I had to do the Disney Plus Hulu ESPN bundle, just because it was cheaper to get ESPN Plus that way than just buying ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
So I kind of got Disney Plus for not free,
negative
but
money.
For no. Yeah. It was just cheaper that way.
When you say you have to pay me to watch that, that's literally almost kind of what's happening here.
Pretty much. Yeah. And then I was reading something, and then I was like, heard some stuff about this anime. It's like, oh, there's this cool anime that I already should have written down the name. Well, let me just open my Plex quickly because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, so there's this anime that's Disney bought the rights to, and they it's exclusive rights, and it's like, okay, great. I could actually watch something on Disney Plus, this thing that I kind of paid for. Well, they are only releasing it in certain Asian territories.
Okay.
So I still had to pirate it anyway.
You said something last week, I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, about how maybe you'll start getting into Marvel stuff. Maybe because you got like hit on the head very hard or something.
I said, yeah, I think that was off air, but yeah, I was like, yeah, if I take like a head injury, then maybe I could start watching Marvel.
I've heard good things about Werewolf by Night that came out last week. This like sort of one-off Marvel horror thing. And people are saying it's quite different from your typical like Marvel fare. And
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I know you've heard that before, right?
I hear that with every fucking Marvel thing that comes out.
I don't know. That's just, it sounds pretty cool. I no longer have the Disney Plus subscription. Otherwise I would check it out, but maybe that's worthwhile.
Maybe,
potentially.
But like literally that's the line I hear with every Marvel thing. It's like, oh, that's pretty good, and it's different from a Marvel thing. And that's when people have seen like the screener of like the first 3 episodes, and then they get to the rest of it and they're like, oh, this has to tie into the MCU, and it's the kind of the same.
Yeah, that's kind of what the story was with WandaVision. You're like, oh, maybe they're taking like a swing here, and then the further you get into it, the more Marvel it becomes before it conforms.
Yeah. So I don't, my bar is so low. But yeah, so the anime is called Summertime Rendering, and it's supposed to be like a supernatural kind of mystery thing, which is very much my kind of shit. Like, that's like the kind of anime that like I actually enjoy. I know I talk a lot about some like garbage shit that I watch, especially lately, but this is the kind of stuff that I usually am into. So yeah, I was like, yeah, this sounds really good. And I was like, I can watch this on this subscription service. I can't. I tried to VPN it. It did not work. It still didn't show up in the catalog.
Damn.
So they just force you to steal shit. I like, what are you gonna do?
Yep.
So yeah, but like, even going back to the Marvel thing, so I was like scrolling through the Disney thing. So I was like, okay, is there anything here? And I was like, oh, there's a Muppet show. Maybe I'll watch some fucking Muppets. I could do that. Yeah, I was like, I'll watch some Muppets.
Yeah.
And so then I go to the Marvel thing, and I'm like, do they really put everything here? Answer is yeah, I guess.
What do you mean?
And I don't know if like how many movies they really had. I don't keep up with all that shit.
I think they have the rights to everything except the latest couple of Spider-Man movies, because I think Sony might still have, even though it's like they're MCU related, like they're in that now, but I feel like they're on Stars or something random.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm scrolling through and I'm like, this is a lot of shit. There's a lot of Marvel shit.
Yeah, there definitely is.
And they even break it down. They're like, oh yeah, here's
phase 1, phase 2. Yeah.
Here's the phases. Here's Thor. If you want to watch Thor shit, here's Iron Man shit. And here's the chronological timeline if you wanted to watch it that way. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then I got to thinking, I was like, this would be nice if I was just like, if my life wasn't so stupidly unnecessarily complicated, if I didn't like complicated things, if I didn't have to go scrounging on weird Asian torrent sites and, try to find director's cut 4K rips of movies, and if I could just sit there and just watch, 70 hours of fucking just drip feed. It's like that. This would be all I need.
Oh, I thought you were going a different direction there. I thought you were complimenting Disney Plus on their curation. I thought you were saying like if all of the things that I like could be organized the way they organize the phases of the Marvel universe.
No, I kind of am.
Yeah.
But
But you're also insulting it at the same time.
Yeah. Like if my tastes were so basic.
Yeah, you're definitely insulting it.
That this would be all I would ever need. You could just sit there and just go, yep, that's the Winter Soldier armor. Like you could just keep doing the Leo point for 80 straight hours and just soil yourself, You're
being very mean. You're being very mean. A lot of people really enjoy these things.
I don't know. Like, the people that really enjoy them are very annoying.
God damn. I'm a big fan of like those last couple Avengers movies. Like, there's some stuff that I really enjoy here.
I did something I wanted to see because like they put Grimace's big fucking face on the thumbnail of the one, and I was like, I wanted to see. I was like, how long is this one?
Wait,
how long
who?
Is this one? Grimace.
Who the fuck is that?
The big purple fuck.
Thanos.
Sure.
Okay.
And I was like, how long is this one? And it's like
3 hours.
This one's gonna be
3.5 hours.
This one's gonna be 3.5 hours.
It's literally structured. It's structured like a 6-episode miniseries, but it's one movie. I swear it is.
This one's gonna be 3.5 hours, bud.
It's literally episodic. I sat in the movie theater watching an episodic series. It's good though. It's good.
But the thing about the people that are just like, they're like the Arrested Development magicians, where they held up the sign that says, "We demand to be taken seriously," and it's just like, enough's enough. You dominate all of culture already. Enough's enough.
Well, okay, so I agree with that, but I think there's another side to that. There's a flip side to that where you have the pretentious film people who are trying to like gatekeep and say that these aren't even movies, right? So you have like the push and pull.
You even just said that that was a miniseries.
Oh, well, okay, but that's like a structural thing with that specific thing. But I'm not trying to say that like none of this is art, right? Because there are people that will be like that. Like wasn't that the whole who was the director that was like, was it Spielberg? It was somebody. Scorsese? I don't know.
It was Scorsese. We don't need to get into
No, we don't need to. I feel like we've already done that like a year ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's two sides to that where people are pretentious in the way that like they'll try and like invalidate those who like the Marvel stuff, and then there's the Marvel people who are like, nothing matters but this, right?
Yeah, like look, I don't have a lot of room to talk. I talked last week or the week before about how I watched my stepmom or my stepsister is my girlfriend or whatever the fuck that was called.
My daughter's ex-wife is my sister-in-law's boyfriend or something.
Yeah. So I sat through 12 episodes of that. Mm-hmm. All right. Like, I don't have a ton of room. You like shit. Whatever. But it's just like, man, it like feels like Soylent Green to me. It's just like gruel. It's like, but at the same time, like part of me is like jealous of that.
Okay.
Part of me is like,
because you like DC.
It's like, no, it's not even that.
Okay.
It's not even that. Because like I paid for a DC service briefly and I didn't even really watch that shit. It's like if I could just sit there and just keep going through, it's like, oh boy, that's Captain America 3. This is the Civil War. Like this is the big one. This is when they face off, and just be like super excited about that.
Right. There's like so many different versions of that. Though. Like there's people that will watch like Friends or The Office in the same way, right? There's people that will watch like, Gilmore Girls or one of those series that has like 8 seasons and 24 episodes per season. You just kind of rewatch the whole thing. God, I mean, I hate to bring it up, but wrestling fans,
Yeah.
Like there are so many different versions of this type of thing, I feel.
Yeah. So I don't know what I'm going to use that fucking streaming service for. The
Nat Geo stuff.
Yeah, that's probably it. And I'll put on the fucking Muppets.
There you go.
I'll put on the Muppets. But anyway, speaking of weird anime bullshit, I've had an anime theme song stuck in my head for like a week now. The problem is that the anime isn't real.
See, I thought this was going to be the topic for the Mountains of Madness.
No, not quite.
Okay.
And I think I could probably play it because I don't think if there's copyright on this, I'm gonna be one surprised. Mostly because this upload is in Spanish, so I don't think this is gonna be an issue. But yeah, I won't play the whole thing, obviously. Okay, so you get the idea.
Definitely
right?
Sounds like a real anime theme song.
Yeah. So it's the theme song to Kujibiki Unbalanced. So the thing, and I'm just gonna keep it real low in the background, is that it is the opening to an anime within an anime.
Okay.
It's the theme song to an anime called Kujibiki Unbalanced within an anime called Genshiken. And they play the theme song at a certain point. There are some scenes from the anime in the anime, and then they'll discuss the anime in the show.
Hey, do you remember that time that Captain America fought Iron Man?
Yeah, it was fucking great. And so like this is me Leo pointing right now. That's Kujibiki Unbalanced right there. You see it? See?
So the characters are watching this show in the show.
Yes.
Is it
like their favorite?
It's their favorite show. Is it like thematically connected as well?
No, not really.
Oh.
Well, kind of. Yeah, like at a certain point, like they'll cosplay it. So like the show Genshiken is about basically like a nerd club. It stands for like the Society of the Study of Visual Arts or something, or the Modern Study of Visual Arts or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that just basically means like they want to talk about anime and manga and video games. And so that's what it is. And that's sort of the show. The show is like a slice of life comedy. And it's from like 2004 and it ran until 2006.
This actually sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
The song is cool too, but I mean like the premise of the show.
Yeah. It's like a very grounded slice of life comedy. Well, you know, to a degree, you know, like as much as a comedy can be. Mm-hmm. And like it's about like a college club. And it's about like, you know, their interpersonal connections and like how they sort of deal with like being like nerds on the fringe of the fringe. Like they have like sort of like they butt heads with like the anime and manga clubs because like there's sort of like this like the anime and manga clubs like do shit and their club kind of doesn't even do shit. They just sort of talk about this one fucking anime. Mm-hmm. A lot of it focuses on like the girlfriend of the one club member who like hates anime and manga and shit, but she joins the club just to be with her boyfriend.
Oh no, wait,
so,
this
like,
isn't. She didn't read that Twitter thread, did she?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's like about their like interpersonal connections and shit like that, and you know, how they sort of like relate to one another and how they sort of start moving through college and like progress, you know, shit like that. It had 2 original seasons, and it ended I think in 2007, and then it was sort of revived in 2013 as Genshiken's second generation.
Oh,
and it was a continuation, so it's basically a 3rd season. Where like some of the members had graduated and some of the previous members like were now heading up the club, and so it's
this is
like
just
how
like
the
Degrassi
club, kind of, and how the club sort of transformed. Like a lot, the people that graduated were like it was mostly a male dominated club, and now the ones that were left were like the girls.
Oh, that's cool.
And so like how how the club sort of transformed into like, now it's like just all a bunch of girls, and like how that dynamic had shifted like that, and sort of what happened to the older members as they still kind of come and visit sometimes, and what happened there. And yeah, it's pretty damn good, just because it's like, it's rare for there to be anime about like people not in high school, for one.
Yes.
So like, that's appreciated. And also, yeah, it's just like handles like the personal dynamics like pretty well, especially in the second or I guess the second generation is it's complicated because all right, so they don't handle everything very well, but it's also like from 2004.
Sure, yeah.
So sometimes there's a couple jokes about like quote unquote homos, right?
The 2000s were kind of brutal in a lot of ways, when it comes to like media and stuff.
So that was in the original couple seasons. I don't remember which season that kind of took place. That was basically like one scene, right? But still not great.
Sure.
Second generation largely revolves around a new member who is a cross-dresser.
Okay.
And a lot of the language used and the way that they're addressed is probably not good. I would say probably not good.
Is it fair to say that anime, not to like generalize, but there is a track record of like that type of stuff in anime over the years?
Yeah. It's a very conservative culture, especially when it comes to sexuality. And that's not to say that there are obviously LGBTQ people in Japan, right? But it's a very heteronormative culture.
Yeah, you're talking about like the broader like societal views.
Yes. And the pop culture, and especially the pop culture that gets exported. So there's a character that cross dresses, and like most of the characters are like fine with what they do, and like they welcome them and like what they do. But like there's one character that is like basically against them cross-dressing, and so there's like just weird tension with that. And later on in the series, they keep bringing up a term that it's basically a slur. It's basically a slur.
Okay.
Like, but it's common enough to where like it's basically anime slang. But like it's not good. I don't know what to say without.
Yeah, I mean, no, this is good that you've added this disclaimer here, because I was like, oh, this sounds wonderful and I want to check it out. But there is this additional context.
Yes.
Yes. That is helpful to know going in.
Yes. But like, here's the thing. The show itself treats this character with care, I would say.
Okay.
It's mostly the other characters that are sort of like ignorant of, I don't know how to approach or how to like tactfully approach, I guess. They're often insensitive. They often say like stupid shit, but often like you're from the perspective of this character. Like basically whenever they use this term, and it's a term that still gets used now, which is, it's not good. It's really, but it's like, it's unfortunately like an anime genre term. So like they're just sort of following a cultural trend, and that's not to say it's right. It's just kind of what it is. Especially like, even though this is this second generation came out in 2013, it's still adapting something that came out several years prior. So they would of course say that they were sticking to the original, but it's like,
that feels a bit like a cop out.
Of course. And here's the other thing. I don't know how much of this falls on the translation.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole another added thing, right?
Yes, because the first two seasons are not available for streaming, as far as I'm aware. I couldn't find it. So you're relying on fan subs, or they might be the DVD subs. I don't know. But this second generation is on Crunchyroll. But the translation is radically different. Like there's another term that comes up frequently in the second generation, called fujoshi, which I don't know what the direct translation is. But it basically means like a woman who is a fan of like gay couples, like in a fetishistic way.
Okay.
and they translate that to be rotten girl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So I don't necessarily know what word they're translating to be the slur.
Right.
So that's something. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds a bit messy.
It is.
I do hope that like with the character who's on the receiving end of like the slurs and the hateful language, I hope that there's a lot more going on with the character outside of that stuff too.
No, there really is.
Okay.
There really is. Like I said, I feel like the show treats them with respect. Mm-hmm. It's more so the other characters that are sort of like they're, I don't think they're malicious is the thing. They're just kind of like flawed and ignorant. Mm-hmm. There's a moment very late where a character is like basically like, what, there's no problem here, are you guys homophobic? And then everybody's like kind of surprised by that, and then she's like, I have a lot of gay friends, like what's the issue? And it's like the first time anybody sort of like addressed it head on like that in a non fetishistic way in the entire run of the show. It's just somebody speaking very bluntly about this finally.
So as someone who watches who watches a lot of anime and a lot of current anime, do you think the medium in general has like progressed in these areas in more recent years?
I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is because instead of even like attempting to like include a character like this, they just wouldn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not the solution.
Yeah. So like even if like it's messy, and even if they're going to use a slur word, and like maybe like you're gonna have characters that are insensitive or don't know how to like address this, like they tried. Meanwhile, now you're not gonna see a character like this. You're not gonna really see a show like this really get made. Like I haven't really necessarily seen a slice of life like this in a similar vein since, I don't know. I've seen like there are similar shows to this, but again, they're probably a little older.
So in a way, you could argue that that's almost like regression.
You could, yeah. Like think about the kind of shit that like I've mentioned now. Like a lot of it is like just weird light novel step sibling shit.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, like honestly, that's what's getting made right now. And isekais, and there's not really a lot of like grounded slice of life stuff that would like approach having a character like this. I honestly don't think so.
So instead of figuring out how to like better represent, they've just excluded entirely.
That's the impression I get. Yeah. Damn. Honestly.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. I'm like, cause I'm trying to like, you know, I'm not the most well-versed, honestly. Like I talk about the shit I watch, you know?
Yeah. I mean, of course we are talking about an entire medium of art. So like there's so much out there, but
yeah.
But when it comes to like the stuff that, you know, reaches us and the stuff that's popular and whatnot, you know, there are trends there, right? So
yeah. So I think it honestly, it handles the character as well as it could, right? You're from their perspective more often than you're not. Like they truly become like the main character of the season. And the show is better for it.
Right.
I just think that it's they sort of don't know how to. It's very experimental in that way of like, you know, this character doesn't necessarily know what they are. Like they don't know if they're a straight man that's decided to cross dress. They don't know if they're maybe gay. They don't know like what their situation is, and that's kind of how like I felt watching. Like, how am I supposed to like take this person? A lot of times they're just addressed as she, like they want to be addressed as a female whenever they're with the club and in their cross-dressed attire. And like, you know, that wish is like respected, like on the whole, even by the one character who's like against them cross-dressing, they're still addressed by the female pronoun, you know, like it's handled, I think, as well as it could be. It's just that like there's like nagging, you know, complications that like it's like people being ignorant of what the best way to move forward is.
Yeah.
And in that way, I guess it's probably realistic.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you could argue that having those characters and those interactions that reflect stuff that really happens in life, I mean, that's not necessarily a negative.
Yeah.
Whether it's, necessary to have that stuff or not, I couldn't say. I haven't seen it. But,
right.
And also, it's good to hear that doesn't, like, take over what's surrounding this character, right? Because that's the fear, is that, like, they'll have a character be, like, fall into, like, a stereotype.
Right. Yes. No. Yeah. These are complex characters.
Yeah.
That's you get to see their sides. And that's the show's strength. So
interesting.
Yeah. While we're still here, I'll just do this quickly because we're going to have a long show. God damn it. Talked a little bit about Persona, but the Persona 25th anniversary ended
with a bang.
I talked about how there was supposed to be one more announcement left. And that how the Persona concert would not have any more, like, there would not be another game announcement. They said that before the show. And they weren't lying. There was no new game announcement. And it turns out, like, the very final announcement for the 25th Persona anniversary that took 2 years was release dates for the already announced ports of Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden. So,
woohoo.
Okay, yeah.
It's exciting.
Kind of a bizarre way to end it.
Yeah, no, that's underwhelming. That's anticlimactic.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I feel like my conspiracy theory is right.
Oh, about the whole
the
Xbox thing? Yeah, I think so. That adds up for sure.
Yeah. And I think people would have been less upset if that was the final announcement.
Yeah, because then you're actually getting, like, games.
Getting something, at the end. And I think that people also would have been, like, if they would have said up front, like, hey, like, kind of temper your expectations for this whole anniversary. Like, most of these announcements are going to be for fucking merch and events in Tokyo that you can't go to.
Yeah.
Like, pump the brakes. But instead, they sort of made it seem like there's going to be big announcements for 2 years, and it's going to end in something huge. And also, we're teasing the color green for some reason, even though we're tying all these other colors to specific Persona games, and the color green is not tied to a Persona game yet. So,
man, what a tease.
Yeah. And also, they teased secret artwork, which ended up being a remix of Persona 3 artwork with Persona 5 and Persona 4 protagonists. So it almost feels like trolling. It almost feels like trolling a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
So people are not happy with Atlas. They really aren't. To be honest, I didn't expect much. I said this the whole way. I didn't expect much. Like, you can go back on old episodes. I didn't expect much.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. But still.
This is... okay. All right.
Well, what are the release dates?
January 19th for both.
Okay. I thought those were coming in the spring, so that's a bit earlier than...
Yeah. They do weird shit. Today, they announced the streaming and, like, content creator guidelines for the new ports of Persona 5 Royal. And they're the same as the guidelines for the last time Persona 5 Royal was released, which was 3 years ago.
Damn, that long already?
Yeah. And you can stream the game, you could show footage of the game, but you can't show anything of the new semester, which is weird. Because the game is 3 years old.
Yeah, it really has been almost that long. Because I remember it was around the start of COVID that it came out.
Yeah. So I guess they really think that a lot of new people are going to be playing it, and they really want to avoid spoilers for a 3-year-old game.
Yeah, it's a bit silly.
It's pretty silly. It feels like they kind of just copy and pasted. So,
yeah.
It's whatever. Nobody followed the guidelines last time, but it's just like, okay, whatever. God, I don't know what they do sometimes. Like they make fantastic games. They really do. But they just make some weird fucking decisions. There was an announcement that it wasn't an announcement. They were just like, thank you for, being excited for the anniversary, and we'll have information to share like when it's ready, basically. So like maybe they had something planned and they had to push it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think so. I think the only change was the port announcement got pushed up. I really think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was supposed to be the last. They would have announced the ports and given the release dates on the same announcement. They would have been like, look, Royal is out in a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's very soon, right?
Yeah, isn't it like a week or two, right?
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, it's sometime in October, I forget.
Yeah, and then 3 and 4 are beginning of next year. And people would have been like, oh, well, we wanted Persona 6, but okay, all right, we got something.
Yeah.
Right? And now, like, it's the same thing, but you kind of announced the ports twice.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Here's a reminder that these are coming.
Yeah.
Which I personally, like, I'll take it because they're all coming to Game Pass. It's pretty cool.
Sure, yeah.
But I know for the super dialed in fans like yourself, it's underwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
Just remember, it always could be worse. You could be a fan of Madden NFL.
It's true.
Can I quickly say,
or Overwatch,
or Overwatch as well? Can I quickly say, because I know I've talked about the just disaster that has been Madden in the year that commemorates the death of Sean Madden himself. By the way, like the loading screen literally says "Thank you, Coach" on it, and then you just load into a pile of broken nothing. So all I would say 90% of the problems that I mentioned previously still exist. The rewards from, let's say 3.5, maybe even a month, 3 weeks to a month ago are still not given out. They had a title update, a patch yesterday, which was a big one. Everybody was waiting. They were like, maybe this will fix so many of the issues, right?
Yeah.
It delivered laggy menus.
Laggy menus?
Yeah, the menus are super laggy now. For some reason. and it also broke a couple more things.
Did they get rid of the dead end menus that don't go anywhere?
No, those are still there.
But now they're just laggy.
Now they're just laggy. And like there's like a new season because the live content and that stuff doesn't work most of the time. I've truly never seen like a live service game this bad. God. Especially one from like such a high profile, high selling game that obviously has a lot of money coming in. It's honestly astonishing. It really is. Like I've all but given up on it and moved on to other things. But like, man, I feel bad for the people that are still grinding that game out because it just doesn't work.
Right.
Like you get this new content and it either gives you error messages, it doesn't deliver the rewards that you're supposed to get. Okay. So some new players came in that you could get for free. You unlock them and you upgrade them using these like collectibles. Okay. So people were very quickly realizing that if you put the collectible into the player to upgrade the player, which is one of the main features of this new event, you get locked out of your account.
Out of your account? The whole account?
Out of your like Madden EA account, and you will not be allowed to re-enter the Ultimate Team game mode or any of like the online components.
For just upgrading
the player.
A card.
And so EA tweeted out, they're like, do not do this. We are investigating and we are working on getting everybody that did do this unlocked.
What the fuck happened to this?
I don't know. It's wild. This is like one of the main things that you are meant to do in the new update, and it just like bans you from the game.
This game wasn't even like a complete like overhaul, was it?
Only in the sense that like they tried to implement this new like Battle Pass-esque system on top of or in place of the one that already existed, but they kind of like they clearly didn't have enough time or resources to properly implement it because so many things are broken.
How did that break everything else?
Genuinely, I have no idea. Like every week there's something new that is broken. That one was truly like my jaw dropped when I saw that because I hadn't played it. Oh my God. And I hadn't gotten to that point. But if I was actively playing it, like I was a few weeks ago, I definitely would have had my account locked by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that.
That's insane. Oh boy.
Anyway, just wanted to throw that in there as a little update.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of sports, we're gonna go so long. Oh God. Okay. I wanted to talk about what's going on in the NHL right now and like the wider hockey sphere. Because we talked about some issues previously, like we talked about the Blackhawks scandal, and I figured it would make sense to bring this up now as there's a growing laundry list of problems.
And is it me? Or is I guess this is kind of like with everything hockey related, but in the States, just a lack of coverage.
Yes.
Yeah, on something that's extremely serious.
Yes. You basically have to go to Canadian media.
Yeah, which is the only place I've heard it from. The one Canadian hockey podcast I listen to regularly has been covering it very in depth. But outside of that, I wouldn't have known it existed.
Yes. So, nobody's going to know about this. So we have to. All right. There is a scandal embroiled with Hockey Canada, which is the governing body for, well, hockey in Canada.
Sure. Yeah.
All the way from youth hockey to their Olympic team, and everything in between. They handle World Junior teams. They handle organization of like rec leagues and they're basically how like you would organize a rec league. There is a counterpart in the US. I don't believe they're like affiliated, but like they have the same function. Is it hockey? It's either Hockey USA or USA Hockey.
Yeah, one of the two.
I worked as a referee for roller hockey, and you would need to get certified through Hockey USA, and you'd have to take a test. You know, you have to go through the rule book, and like the rec league was registered through Hockey USA. And part of that is like the dues you would pay to the league. Part of that would go to the rec league, and then some of that would go towards like the fees towards Hockey USA to make sure that everything was above board and they were following certain guidelines. And it was like, this like stamp of approval, right? That this was like sanctioned.
Yeah.
So it's quite similar in Canada, but they're probably held to, a bigger deal because it's fucking Canada.
Yeah, it's the sport.
And they have ties to the Canadian government. Like they're kind of sanctioned by the Canadian government. I don't know what the direct ties are, but I know they receive some kind of federal funding from the Canadian government. And so there are at least two major sexual abuse scandals involving two former World Junior Championship Canadian hockey teams. One in 2003, the other in 2018. Now, Hockey Canada basically covered them up, and the big story now is that there was a secret hush fund that was utilizing the dues from that they would receive basically from parents for their children to pay out sexual abuse settlements.
Yeah.
And this has been going on since I believe 1999 was when the fund was started. And it has now come out. I want to pull up the tweet here. So literally more than half of the fee paid by players to Hockey Canada has been going to the National Equity Fund, which is the name of this secret fund that is being used exclusively to pay out sexual abuse settlements.
Which what it's disguised as makes it even more gross.
Right.
If it could possibly be any grosser.
Yes. Now, I want to talk briefly about the two cases. And I just want to, there's the case in 2003 and the one in 2018. Mostly because the names potentially implicated are some big names.
Mm-hmm.
Let me scroll down. So in 2003, I believe it was a woman has come forward and says that they were assaulted by several. I think it's actually a similar situation in both instances where a woman says that they were assaulted by several players from the World Junior team.
Mm-hmm.
In both cases. Again, separate instances, like this is 15 years apart. But let's go through the roster very briefly. This is the 2003 roster. Marc-Andre Fleury, David Lenovo, Steve Eminger, Alexander Rollo, Jeff Wolwitka, Nathan Page, Brendan Bell, Carlo Koliakovo, Ian White, Gregory Campbell, Matt Stajan, Joffrey Lupul, Pierre-Marc Bouchard, Jay McClement, Scotty Upshaw, Daniel Paye, Derek Roy, Jordan Tutu, P.A. Parento, Boyd Gordon, Kyle Wellwood, and Brooks Like.
A handful are still employed in some way or the other by the NHL.
Yes. Some very familiar names. It is unclear who or how many were involved.
Yeah.
Now, the NHL took over the investigation of one of the cases, I believe. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I know they interviewed one set. It might have been the 2018. And the 2018 roster. It's more recent, but it has some other familiar names. Dylan Dubé, Jonah Gadjevich. Wait, this looks like, is this? I guess it is. Boris Kachuk, Maxime Comtois, Tyler Radish, Tyler Steenbergen, Drake Batherson, Michael McLeod, Brett Howden, Sam Steele, Alex Formanton, Jordan Kiru, Robert Thomas, Jake Bean, Connor Timmons, Cal Foote, Cale Makar, Danton Fabro, Cale Clegg, Victor Mete, Colton Point, and Carter Hart.
There's a lot of current NHL players and high-profile NHL players on that list there.
Yes. So this is a big deal, and it was kept quiet by Hockey Canada, and that's their system, clearly. They set up a hush fund for it. So these are the two high-profile cases that we know of so far.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they needed to set up an entire fund and siphon off half of all of the money that they were receiving for it tells me that there's more.
I would not be surprised in the slightest, unfortunately.
A lot more. So their whole leadership group is gone now. Their CEO resigned. Their board of directors is resigning, but they won't have a new board in place until the new year, basically. They're losing sponsors by the day. Nobody wants to be associated with them anymore. Honestly, the organization shouldn't exist anymore.
I might be jumping ahead here. Did you see the press conference from about a week or so ago?
Is this the comments made by
the higher ups that came?
Yeah,
out
I don't
spoke?
have it with me.
Yeah, I don't have the
though.
quotes. I just wanted to mention that because the vibe there of this press conference is basically like they are trying to win the battle for the public's opinion of them by sort of like weaponizing hockey as a sport. They're like trying to claim that any attack to Hockey Canada is an attack on the sport. And, all you Canadians must love the sport, so you should be on our side, basically.
Yeah. And it's like, fuckers, you who are you? You are an organization. You are a system. You have nothing to do with the sport.
Right. Exactly.
You've been literally been stealing Canadians' money.
Isn't it wild though how they came out and made these comments, and I do wish I had them pulled up here. But they're basically playing defense, and they're trying to combat when there's all of this information that we have now about these horrendous cases, and it's coming to light, and how can you still be playing defense here at this time? I don't understand.
Right. Yeah.
It does not make me optimistic for whatever future Hockey Canada has in store. If these are the higher ups that are saying this stuff too.
Right. They simply shouldn't have a future.
True.
They just
true.
It shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist.
But is that realistic though?
I honestly don't think that they're this institution that must persevere.
Okay.
They're not so fundamental to keeping the sport going.
Right. Although you said the NHL has taken into investigating one of the cases, the NHL has a very terrible track record too when it comes to
absolutely.
As we talked about months ago, but
absolutely no. This is clearly a culture problem.
Yes, that's you've nailed it there. Mm-hmm.
This is a culture problem, as we'll see. This is an ongoing story with Hockey Canada. There's going to be more that's going to come out, especially now that you got the Canadian government even more involved than they already were. So that has been going on for months already, and more is coming out. This whole thing about stealing the dues came out this week. Around the same time, an anonymous account on Twitter posted a story about how they were groomed as a high schooler by NHL defenseman Ian Cole, who is now with the Tampa Bay Lightning, formerly of the
Hurricanes.
He played several years for the Penguins. He won 2 cups with the Penguins. After he was with the Penguins, he played for the Blue Jackets, and he also played a season with the Avalanche, 3 years with the Avalanche in between, and also half a season with the Wild. So this is on the heels of another Ian Cole scandal where he apparently cheated with a Hurricanes team reporter on his wife. This came out in July, I believe.
Okay.
And now this story came out. It was an anonymous Twitter account, and the story says as much, that they're anonymous for their own safety. It was posted, and then it didn't really get any traction until about 3 days later when people noticed it, because it was an anonymous fresh Twitter account. Let me hold on. I had it and then I lost it. I don't know. Should I read it?
It's up to you. For context, then you might as well.
Okay, yeah. So, like, obviously, content warning for grooming and sexual abuse. I should have done that at the top. I apologize. I want to first warn anyone reading this that some of these details are disturbing and may be triggering to victims of grooming and emotional and sexual abuse. It's taken me years to find courage to come forward, and I've decided to speak out anonymously because, sadly, I feel that this is the only way I can be fully transparent without harassment and retaliation. I was groomed by Ian Cole for 4 years, starting when I was a minor in high school. My first sexual encounter with Ian was when, I'm going to say, whenever there's an instance of the name, I'm going to say Ian Cole, just to...
Yeah, sure.
My first sexual encounter with Ian Cole was when I was a minor in high school. He had been playing in the NHL for a few years at that point. He was very well aware of my age and that I was a teen in high school. He pressured me into having sex with him that night. Even though I made it very clear I did not want to, he would not take no for an answer. I was too young to understand at the time that pressuring someone into sex was sexual assault. After meeting for the first time, Ian Cole sought out my number from a friend and continuously asked to see each other again. He would frequently pressure me to do things without my consent that I made clear to him I was not okay with, like refusing to wear condoms. One time he did wear a condom, he used it as a means to humiliate me by saying he would only wear one because, quote, "you're probably riddled with STDs." When I was in high school, he would ask me to leave school and meet up with him in the hotel room the NHL was paying for in my school uniform. On a few occasions, he asked me to bring other girls from my high school with me, which I refused to do. He'd make derogatory, misogynistic comments. He bragged about all the other girls he was sleeping with and show me their angry texts to him while laughing about how they thought they were dating. He would say how much he appreciated that I was the only one who understood that he couldn't do commitment and how deeply he cared about me. It's obvious now he showed me these texts to manipulate me, to be desperate for his approval and less likely to speak out. I was targeted by him because he knew I was an inexperienced teen who could be easily taken advantage of in this way. When I got to college, I found out he had slept with a girl who was a minor at my former high school. Not only was he grooming me, but he was now doing this to other girls. When I confronted him with how disturbed I was, he quickly became angry and dismissive. He accused me of only being angry because I thought we were in a relationship. It was another attempt to manipulate me. Years later, one of Ian Cole's former NHL teammates told me that Ian had bragged about sexually assaulting me as a minor the first night we first met to their teammates. He was able to recall details to me that only Ian Cole and I would have known about, meaning that many on his team were aware he was involved with a minor. I felt violated all over again. Ian Cole felt emboldened to emotionally and sexually abuse me and other women because the NHL fosters a culture of misogyny. The NHL needs to hold themselves and their players accountable for creating an enabling environment of misogynistic and predatory behavior. Those who defend his character are the ones who have enabled him to do this for so long and know very well of his abusive behavior toward women. Anyone who truly knows Ian Cole and the way he talks about women will not be surprised by any of this. Coming forward as a victim of grooming and abuse is extremely difficult. It's easy to have shame and blame yourself that you should have known better, but then I remember that I was taken advantage of as a minor by a fully grown adult man. As a teen, I didn't even know what grooming was. When you're young and this happens to you, you don't realize you are a victim. As I got older and built self-esteem, I started to fully understand the extent of what had happened to me and that this could never have been consensual. I don't think Ian Cole ever expected me to have the courage to speak out. It is painful to relive it, but I hope that this experience encourages more people to speak out about their own experiences of grooming and abuse, and I'm truly proud of myself that I'm able to finally have the courage to come forward with the truth. So this is posted by, under a pseudonym, Emily Smith on Twitter. And like I said, it took a few days for it to gain traction, and it did. And the few days it started gaining traction, the Tampa Bay Lightning, his current team, announced that he would be suspended pending an investigation, and he's not allowed to have any contact with the team or be involved with team activities. And then the NHL announced that they were launching an investigation, and that he was having, I believe, an in-person meeting with the NHL's security officer, like head security officer. And it's kind of been quiet since.
Yeah.
So apparently he's been a known asshole. Like,
well, this goes even beyond being an asshole. Like, this is just...
No. Yes, but so the reason he was traded from the Penguins was that the Penguins coach Mike Sullivan didn't like him personally. He had like issues with him in the locker room. And apparently that is a reputation that has followed him of being like hard to work with and being like an asshole.
So now we're learning on top of that there were other hockey players that had the knowledge of specifics, which is extremely alarming.
Yes. In the statement, I'll obviously use a pseudonym because I don't know any other way, but like Emily does not talk about a timeline, really doesn't give any kind of year or date, just says that the grooming began, let me see, groomed for 4 years. First encounter, he had been playing in the NHL for a few years at that point. It's hard to tell when this could have occurred.
That's the thing, right? It could have occurred at any point because it's a cultural issue within the hockey world. Like, this is systemic. This is wide reaching, you know?
Right. It's just like as a fan, you want to know, all right, who the fuck knew and didn't talk?
I guess so, but at the same time, it's like, it's almost, well, it's not beside the point, but it just speaks to a larger problem, I think.
Of course, it's a problem regardless, because there's clearly one locker room, another locker room, because this was a same issue with the Blackhawks.
We hear the story over and over.
There's another locker, there's another locker room that didn't talk.
And not only that, but like, I mean, we don't know necessarily in this case, but in past cases, you have not only the locker room that doesn't talk, but you have the league or the organization that actively prevents these things from getting out.
Right. So it's like, okay, which one was it? You know, like it's either the Blues, Penguins, Jackets, Avalanche. The Wild, he was only there for 52 games. Carolina, 75 games, which is just last year.
But it's like but like the other story, the other case with Hockey Canada, the one related to that. Well, the two of them relate to that. One from almost 20 years ago and one from 4 years ago. And all the people you named are now scattered all throughout, right? And we don't know exactly who was involved, who wasn't, who knew, who didn't. But like, you know, these are all people that are just like in the hockey world all over the place. So it's so gross. Like, I don't even have the words for it because it's just like so constant and wide reaching and just all encompassing, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks. I wish I had something more insightful to say, but it's just, it sucks. I don't, you know, and you can't even rely on those in charge to like take the proper steps at preventing this in the future, because they haven't. They've actively gone against doing that, like in their own like self-interest.
Right. The Blackhawks just want to move on. Was their whole fucking line.
Yeah. And allowed the Predator in their locker room to go and take jobs elsewhere, continue his string of abuse and harassment. Yeah, it's horrifying.
And then this last one, like this is all in the same fucking week. The Edmonton Oilers AHL affiliate, so their minor league team, they fired their head athletic trainer after he was charged with, quote, serious felony offenses. It was charged with connection to contacting a minor to commit a sexual offense in California. Charged with contacting a minor with the intent to commit a sex act, arranging to meet with a minor with the intent to commit a sex act, and going to the arranged meeting place.
Yeah, it's so sad because in all of these cases, we're talking either about kids who, you know, these things will impact them. Like, who could say how much it impacts them for like the rest of their lives, right? Like the trauma and the effects of it. And then, you know, other stories, you have people in the hockey world that these like abuses happen to them. And not only are these traumatic experiences, but then they're also like basically like blacklisted from the hockey world because they're not receiving any help. They're being tossed aside and sort of like, you know, shamed for it in the case of like the Blackhawks scandal.
In both of the instances, or I guess in all three of the instances we're talking about, it's either like you're outright abusing kids or both, and you're taking the funds that kids are paying for their rec programs and their travel league programs and using it to cover up further sexual abuses. And
this is also like fucked. Even going beyond the hockey world. Like in the past few weeks, we've had the what's happening with women's soccer in the U.S. Right? I'm not sure if you've heard all of the scandal going on there. And then of course there's the Brett Favre scandal in football.
Right.
So it's like, and you know, there's similarities here across the board with abuses and redirecting funds for just I don't know. It's just it's so corrupt and like broken and disgusting. And people's lives are being like destroyed by this, and you know, like the trauma, the long-term effects, the horror of it all. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying stuff now at this point. What can you say, really?
Right. It's just fucking sucks.
Yeah, you want to be like, burn it all to the ground, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, new season. You want to be excited for a new season, but I don't know. I thought this would make a transition out of this easier, but I don't know if it does. This is so much more stupid than what we just talked about. Like, so much more stupid. But the new boards, the board ads, these dynamic board ads that
on the TV broadcast,
they have to stop.
Yeah, so this is completely frivolous and means nothing. But I agree. Because like it gets really bad when you have like a face off, like say in like the offensive zone near the boards, like left or the right of the goalie.
Yeah.
And also, I also have to acknowledge there's really no transition here.
There's not. I figured something more hockey related would be better than just going, hey,
yeah, but like so when you have players like standing near the boards and you get the effect where it's like you're like watching like a Twitch streamer with a green screen background that doesn't fully fade properly, and so like the player starts like bleeding into the advertisements.
Here's the fucking issue. Well, there's a lot of issues. So they're superimposing
on top of real
ads
ones, by the way,
on the boards on top of real ads. On the boards for TV broadcasts because they want to double dip. Because TV realized that, hey, we're not getting any advertising revenue for the ads that people are paying to put on the boards in the arena, but we have to show them on TV.
Which, by the way, they still come up during replays because they don't have them during replays.
Of course they do. So we need to get a piece of that pie. But they don't look right. Yeah. They don't work.
This is an extension of the on-ice graphics, which I would argue are even worse and still exist, by the way.
Yes. This is literally the new version of the fucking Comet Puck of the 90s. This is awful. Sometimes it can fully glitch out like it did during the Oilers game that I was watching, where it just fucking completely bugs out and is a mess of pixels and graphics, and it's just fucking broken, or it just hitches and is distracting and looks weird. Like it fundamentally doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because white is not good for chroma key, which is basically what they're using for this. And because there's more than one white surface other than the boards. Uniforms. The ice is white. The away team's uniforms. Yeah,
that's why the players are bleeding into the background.
Yes. And so I actually saw it, like, whenever there is a full ice view replay, they still try to use them.
Oh, do they? Oh, it's only certain camera angles, I guess, that don't,
Yes, whenever it's the normal ice view that they still to go to replay. The problem is the frame rate.
Oh, like when you're slowing down a play or something?
So whenever you're using slow-mo, the board graphic is not in slow motion. Funny. So the board graphic is at a full frame rate. So somebody on the ice is now blurred. The boards are now not blurred. The other problem is that they don't account for camera movement. The camera will move and pan to follow the action.
This is a sport, after all, where people are moving.
The ads don't account for that. The ads move.
Yeah, it's all very stupid. And like, I was hearing coming into the season that the revenues are up to like pre-pandemic levels too. So like, I don't know. They want more.
They want more. They put stickers on the helmets. They put stickers on the jersey now.
Because that at least doesn't, mess with your eyes during.
But now look what happens. We gave them an inch and they took a mile.
I can't stress enough how just ridiculous I feel talking about this though after the whole.
I know.
I'll feel ridiculous sitting down to watch a hockey game too tonight. Like it's just, and obviously like that's the least of the problems, my comfort in this whole thing. But it's
right.
Gross. It's such a systemic problem. It's almost hard to like wrap your head around it, even though it's not at the same time because you just see it over and over again,
Yeah. And the NHL has now gone full NFL with the gambling shit too.
Yeah, that's everywhere.
With the pre-money line. Yeah, but now it's even the local broadcasts.
I saw a full Penguins related sports book one yesterday during the broadcast.
Yeah, like my God. The worst of these ads though is the one for whatever the Penguins one was. I don't know what fucking company it was, but the one that has like the full motion that did like a big sweep. It looked like somebody's screensaver. That was so fucking distracting. It's really bad. It would be one thing if it worked and I could just say, oh, this is distracting because it's an ad, but it doesn't work.
But yeah, hockey's a disaster and I kind of feel ashamed for supporting it sometimes because the culture is so bad around it. Like this doesn't even get into how racist the hockey culture
I didn't even put that in the notes. I didn't even get to the Akeem Alou stuff.
Oh, I was just talking in general. I didn't even know there were new specific. Well, of course there are. God,
a Toronto sports writer wrote a racist article basically. Yeah. It's the same writer that started the Phil Kessel hot dog rumor.
What? Okay.
He whenever Phil Kessel played for the Leafs, he wrote this hit job that said that Phil walks past the hot dog stand every day and gets a hot dog, and so he's out of shape. Which is why Phil, whenever he won the cup, put a bunch of hot dogs in it and took a photo. You've seen that photo, obviously, right?
Maybe. I don't remember it. It sounds great, though. That's a great response from Phil. Where is he now, by the way? He got out of that hellscape in Arizona.
He is with Vegas feeding the shit out of Eichel.
Oh, cool. That's a good role for him.
They have ridiculous chemistry.
That's a great role for him. I'm happy for him. Even though Vegas has its own, systemic issues too. But, okay.
Yeah.
Great. So this dude was just body shaming Phil Kessel?
Yes.
God damn.
Yes.
And meanwhile, he's like an Iron Man. He's like one of the longest running players, like healthiest, someone who's managed to stay healthy and play consistently for like years.
Yeah, he's
years.
like never missed a game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
I mean,
he
it
even
is
had
unnatural. He like looks out of shape.
He does.
But he's also like really fast.
Yeah.
It does defy physics. But
still, it doesn't warrant that nonsense.
Right. No, it didn't. And he was the best player on the Leafs for years. Yeah. Anyway, we got to talk about a movie. I think we should do a separate recording.
Okay.
If you still have some time.
Yeah.
Because we've gone over 2 hours. I don't know what happened today.
We can make the Hellraiser one quick.
Yeah.
It might not be very kind, so it might be good to keep it short.
So that'll be a separate recording. Be on the lookout for that. I'll just go through the business shit very quickly. Thank you for listening. If you stuck it through whatever the fuck this was, me having, a weird mental break and then trying to be serious. Just usual, I guess. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at DeadEndRoad. Check out the Facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV, Twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. We got to pick a date. God damn it.
Just like whatever the last Friday.
Yeah, I guess that's the 28th, right? Okay, 28th. 28th, we'll be doing a live show. So yeah, check that out. Twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. YouTube search DeadEndRoadTV. You'll find it. Kofi.com/DeadEndRoadTV. You could email us anything at all, like your thoughts on why hockey sucks. Video at deadendroad.ca.
Yeah, somebody be more eloquent than me, because I these situations I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, we thought it was a good idea to put the serious stuff later so I can get through my bullshit. But then the later, like we can't speak very good.
Past 2 hours and we're well past
show.
That. So
yeah, that was a mistake.
Stop the damn recording.
Yes. All right. Bye.